Hi everybody, Rob from Sound of Music here. Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to go through the top 10 albums that I own on vinyl. Ooh, so what are those? What's in there? Uh, I fucked up already. Ready? Hello everybody, Rob from Sound of Music here. This is going to be the top 10 albums the top 10 progressive rock albums. I almost did it again. This is going to be the top 10 progressive rock albums that I own on vinyl. So I've been collecting vinyl probably for 15 years, something like that. I used to go to this record store when I lived in New Jersey called the Sound Exchange, and I used to always buy records there back when you could get them for like between, I don't know, $5 to $10 a pop as opposed to, half your paycheck as it is now. So I've been collecting vinyl records for a long time, and I've been a progressive rock fan, like a proper progressive rock fan for a long, long time. So I love prog rock. So I thought I was just kind of looking through my records here. I was like, you know what? Let's just do a quick video. This will be fun. I'll just pick 10 albums that I own on vinyl and we'll talk about them. And it'll just be the 10 best progressive rock albums in my collection. Now, what have I actually done to prepare for this? Not really much, but I don't know. I just thought it would be fun to look through the collection, find 10 albums that I just adore, grab them, and then I'll just talk about each. This is going to be in no particular order. I love, love, love all these prog rock albums. I'll be honest with you, I doubt you're going to see too many surprises in here, which, I mean, so if you don't want to hear about the same old prog albums, then now would probably be a good time to turn off the video. But these are at least going to be, Stone Cold classics, a couple of which I haven't talked a ton about on this channel. But, if you've seen my top 25 prog rock albums video, then by and large, most of these are on here. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. We'll talk about we'll go with number 10. Now, number 10, I'm going to actually take the camera, and I'm going to point it at the wall there. That is my Rush shrine. Okay? That right there, this amazing gold disc, I don't know what that is. I don't know what album that is. I don't know if it's their greatest hits. My theory is it's Moving Pictures. So I don't know. I have, as you can see, a proper copy of Moving Pictures right there, as well as 2112. And I have Farewell to Kings there, and I have Grace Under Pressure there. That's my kind of Rush shrine. I own every Rush album on vinyl from the debut to Grace Under Pressure, and they're all vintage. So I don't. We're gonna go with 2112 for number 10, because it's between that one and that one really, and I mean honestly those three are pretty damn close for me. I'll often go to a Farewell to Kings, but just for the sake of this video, we're gonna go to 2112. Now, why 2112? I mean, do I really need to... Let's let that focus. See if we get my camera angle back here. Okay, there we go. So why 2112? Well, 2112 was one of those seminal albums that when I first got into progressive rock, it was one of those gateway albums for me, really. And there's a couple other here I'll talk about that were gateway albums. But the big one, I would say, was Dark Side of the Moon. That really opened the door to me to progressive rock. 2112 was different because I've always been a big hard rock fan. I like classic rock, that kind of thing. I remember years ago when I was in high school, we're talking circa 2004 or 5, for a lot of the people who watch this who discovered Rush in 1975 or 1985, they're probably like, shut up, kid. But, that's been 20 years. So, I mean, we're talking that long ago. There was a kid. The first I'd ever heard of Rush was in high school, and he goes, man, you got to check out this album 2112. And I bought it, listened to it, was unsure about it. It didn't take me till a couple years later when my buddy Dan, he's my brother-in-law, until he got into Rush, and I ended up picking up a greatest hits of Rush, that I started to really like Rush. And the first album that I properly heard by them was 2112. And it blew my mind, man. Once I finally opened my ears to 2112, and that opening side 2112, the multi-part suite, just amazing, unbelievable stuff. You know, just the sound that those three guys got were amazing. I was fortunate enough to see him 3 times before Neil Peart sadly passed away, and you know they played bits of 2112 when I saw them, and it was amazing. I mean, it was one of those albums that really changed my life, and just the whole message of 2112 about like freedom, just the freedom of expression, uh, and just how do I want to say it with 2112? It's we all know the story. The guy, it's basically a totalitarian dystopian type of state. This guy finds a guitar. He tries to bring it to these priests, the temples at the temples of Shearings, who rule everything. They reject it, and then there's this whole like weird trippy thing where he has a dream, and then he kills himself and all this stuff. And it's put together with this epic music. I mean, you're talking like really, really heavy music. In 1976, when that came out, you're looking at probably the heaviest. It was the birth of prog metal. Let's be real. Like prog metal was born, and kind of metal itself, even really. I mean, there was obviously Black Sabbath was where heavy metal came from, but Rush really were the ones that pioneered more technical kind of metal. And 2112 is a masterpiece. I love all the other songs on it, like aside from the side long epic. I love Twilight Zone. That's probably my favorite on side B. I love Passage to Bangkok. I love Lessons in Tears. It's a bit lighter and stuff, but it's full on prog. It's awesome. And yeah, 2112. How can you beat it? The next one I'm gonna say so I don't ramble on too much in this video. The next album I picked, and this one might be a bit divisive. Some people may consider this prog, some people may not. I wouldn't consider this band prog, but I would consider this album pretty prog rock. And it's The Magician's Birthday by Uriah Heep. This is one of my all-time favorite albums ever. I mean, I remember discovering this, again, it was shortly after high school. Again, I discovered this with my brother-in-law, Dan. He went on vacation, and he called me, and he goes, I discovered this band. My dad was telling me about him, and I discovered him. I got this album. It's amazing. And I was like, oh, what's the band? And he goes, it's Uriah Heep. So he told me about it. I went out and got this album, and this one blew my mind. This, again, it's like with Rush. It mixes the hard rock thing with more, like, progressive elements. I'd say there's more acoustical type of stuff with, Blind Eye. Echoes in the Dark has this one of my favorite tracks in the album has this really like dramatic kind of piano and synths. The stuff that Ken Hensley does on here is like unbelievable. The keyboard player for Uriah Heep. And then you also have who do we got here? We got, of course, Mick Box, David Byron, the legendary David Byron, one of the most underrated singers in rock and roll history as far as I'm concerned. You got Lee Kerslake, later of Ozzy Osbourne fame. He played on, I think it's the first 2 Ozzy solo albums, so Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Really, really, really great drummer. And then you have on bass, who are we looking at? Gary Thane on bass. So yeah, this is a classic lineup of Heap, and it has some of their best tracks on there. Sunrise and a new day's breaking through. Like that whole beginning opening track is so amazing. Echoes in the Dark, as I talked about. Blind Eye has this really catchy hook to it. Very like kind of like folky, acoustic-y kind of thing. And then Rain, one of the greatest like ballady, one of the greatest, I guess you could kind of call it power ballads, but rock ballads of all time in my opinion. Amazing lyrics, amazing piano playing by Ken Hensley, and unbelievable vocals by David Byron. Like just wonderful stuff. And then the other side has, of course, their probably, I guess, the biggest hit off the album, which is Sweet Lorraine, which has that really cool like spacey synth thing that it's like it's a really weird synthy keyboard sound that Ken Hensley has. And that's kind of like the riff of the song, and then it's got that catchy chorus, Sweet Lorraine, let the party carry on. Really, really great classic track. Tales, it's like, I think it's like a wizard or something telling tales around a fire or something. Very prog, very fantasy. And then the epic Magician's Birthday, which is, of course, the, how long is it here? Like 10 minutes? Yeah, 10-minute long epic on the track. Really weird. features a kazoo, you know, very strange stuff. But yeah, if you're a prog fan and you don't know Uriah Heep, you don't know The Magician's Birthday, do yourself a favor and go pick this up. It's an amazing album, and honestly, one of the coolest album covers of all time. And I'm sorry, you can't truly appreciate it till you got it on vinyl. The back is stunning too, by the way. The back is amazing. Excellent. Is this Roger Dean? The cover is Roger Dean. So, yes, this is a Roger Dean cover, so is Demons and Wizards. So, I'm sorry, folks. It's officially a prog album. My next one is Dark Side of the Moon. It's also behind me on that flag I got. You know, I won't go on too much about this because I talk about Dark Side of the Moon all the time. It's my favorite album of all time. It was a groundbreaking album. As I said earlier, it was my gateway to prog. It really was. This was the album that got me into music, and I really am very thankful for that because I feel that this album set a standard for me with music, and I feel like it opened my ears to more experimental type of music, which of course led me to progressive rock. And it's debatable, I know. People argue, people like, you know, just get into it for some reason about whether Pink Floyd is a progressive rock band. You know, like, Uriah Heep is not a progressive rock band, I think, but they do progressive rock music. You know, they do. I mean, they're not really confined to one genre, which is what I love about Uriah Heep. And it's the same thing with Pink Floyd. I would say Dark Side of the Moon is a progressive rock album. Is it a prog album, like really, you know, crazy time signatures, like virtuoso playing? No, it isn't. But it is experimental. It chucks a lot of influences together. Yeah, and in some cases they're playing in some kind of weird time signatures. They experiment with, of course, a lot of electronic effects and all kinds of different little studio things. Alan Parsons, I think, did he produce or engineer it? He engineered it. Yep. It was just produced by Pink Floyd, okay. You know, oh, and it has, of course, the amazing, iconic gatefold, which is unbelievable. Prog fans have to just embrace the fact that Pink Floyd, at least this album, is a progressive rock album because it's the gateway to prog. It is the mainstream gateway to prog. And I'll say it again, if I had not discovered this album, I would not have discovered progressive rock. I really don't think I would have. So that's that. Speaking of bands that are prog, that aren't, it's hard to call them a progressive rock band, but have done plenty of prog. We got Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull. Now, Jethro Tull are one of my very favorite bands, probably top 3. And I do have the wonderful, I'll be honest, this is not my favorite Jethro Tull album. I picked this just so I could show off the newspaper because it looks great. I mean, I don't think I've ever leafed through this whole thing, but it's a proper newspaper. It's an actual, and mine's in good shape. You know, Council faces the wrath of the Tulip Grove Defenders, you know. A De Groot to get spliced, you know. Like all kinds of stuff. They even put in what do you know? Connect the dots. Somebody connected the dots on this one, unfortunately. Fortunately, it's in pencil, so I could erase it. So yeah, I won't open the whole thing. But yeah, so they really went hard on the actual record here. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. They really went hard on the actual design. I mean, could you imagine getting this in like 1972? I think is when this came out, and oh no, it's falling out. It's all falling apart. All right, but could you imagine getting this in 1972 and you open it up and it's like, wow, they actually made this into a real newspaper. It's like, it's one of the coolest album sleeves ever. So I picked it. I did pick it to show off the album sleeve for sure. But how do you fold this back up? I'm trying to fold this back up on camera. Anyway, so I'll fold that up later. But okay, so Thick as a Brick. So it's like, the reason I picked it is it's their prog, their big prog rock album along with Passion Play. Now I don't technically own Passion Play. There's a copy of Passion Play on vinyl in this house because it's owned by my wife. I'm trying to commandeer it for her because I doubt it's something that she's super into because she's not as big of a prog fan as I am. But I don't own Passion Play, but either way, I would pick Thick as a Brick over Passion Play. Passion Play. Now, Ian Anderson says this is a spoof, a mock of the concept album, and it's a result of people calling Aqualung a concept album, which he claims it was not. Now, that's probably the case. I mean, there's certainly a very, very tongue-in-cheek, funny sort of English thing going on here, but it's coupled with some unbelievable music. I mean, really, really great music. Really, really complex music. And still, though, I think it's very melodic. I actually was able to get it folded back up. It was still, yeah, very, very melodic, and that lady kind of looks like Michael Jackson. Anybody else think so? Sorry, lady, if whoever that was, but it kind of does look like it's the hat, I think. Anyway, so it's supposed to be a prog parody album, whatever. A lot of people talk about that, but it's a classic, man. The music on here is amazing. I love everything from the intro, like that acoustic do 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 do. Really don't mind if you said this one, like the flute playing, Martin Barr's guitar on this album, it just shreds at times. Barrymore Barlow does this insane drum stuff. I think it's more on is it more like the opening side? He does some, opening of the second side. This album's bonkers. The lyrics are nuts. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this album. It's a masterpiece. I love Thick as a Brick, and I love Jethro Tull. So this is their prog epic, I would say. Next album I'm going to talk about, and I should mention with Jethro Tull, I have all of their albums from... Do I have This Was? I might not have This Was. I know I have Stand Up to, like, Broadsword and the Beast. And then I also have Crest of a Knave. I don't have Under Wraps, though. I don't think I have A either, but I have all their classic albums. So I've got, like, the Folk Trilogy. I've got, Minstrel in the Gallery, Thick as a Brick, Aqualung. I got all the major stuff. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to go to my favorite Camel album, Moon Madness. Picked this up when I lived in Montana. No, this one I visited Montana. Yeah, I was in Montana. I used to live in Montana, and fun fact for you Camel fans, I don't know if you know this, but Camel was pretty much a UK, like, they were pretty much, they were only really very big in the UK, and I'm sure other parts of Europe as well. As far as the US goes, they didn't really have much of a following, but the following they did have was on, like, the northwest coast. It was, like, Washington, Oregon, like, randomly, and I think, the Montana area, like, and I kind of see why. I can remember when I lived in Montana, here's a little anecdote. I remember it was snowing like crazy, and winters in Montana are nuts. Like they're just as you can imagine, next level. And I had a cassette tape that I bought at the same record store that I actually got this at years later, and I had bought the cassette because I still had a cassette player in my car, and it was a cassette of the Snow Goose, and it was the first time I'd ever heard the Snow Goose. It was on cassette. And I would go really early in the morning. I would drive up to my work. It was probably about 20 minutes away, but because I had a little car, it took more like half an hour or so because there's snow and they don't properly salt in Montana, all this stuff. Anyway, so I would listen to the Snow Goose. And there were countless days where I would be driving to work, listening to the Snow Goose on cassette and driving to work. And man, the vibe, it was just sublime. It was so ethereal. It was so like, it was just such a great, I don't know, I have that memory in there, but I'm a huge fan. I have that on vinyl too. I have Snow Goose, but Moon Madness is my favorite Camel album. There's something about this album, there's a little less vocals on it, which is what I think I like a lot about it. Now Snow Goose I know is basically an instrumental album. I think though musically some of the tracks on here, like what's the guitar one? I know it. The big guitar one at the end. Brain. It's, I wish I had the track list. I can't think of it right now. I'm just gonna cheat. I know it. It's Lunar Sea. That's the one. Lunar Sea. Man, Andy Latimer's guitar solo, it starts out with some amazing keyboard playing, and the guitar solo is just amazing. Like, he's a very underrated guitar player, Andy Latimer. I think he's fantastic. Yeah, Airborne, Another Night, amazing. Aristoteles kind of starts out with that, kind of has like a, not military, but it just has a, the rhythm of that song is really weird. Chord change, Spirit of the Water's great. This is a fantastic, oh, let's put it back. You guys can hear the paper. Oh God, get back in there. I don't know why I'm having trouble getting the stuff in here. Anyway, this is a fantastic album. If you want Camel's best album, it is not Mirage. It is Moon Madness. I do have the debut as well. I do not have Mirage on vinyl, which I have to rectify because Mirage is also a masterpiece. But yeah, this is just, I just love this album. It's also got the best cover in my opinion. Such a cool cover. Very whimsical. Camel's a great band, underrated band. They should be in the higher tier of prog bands in my opinion. So that's Camel. Okay, back to more legendary status prog. This one I looked for forever on vinyl and then finally found it at the Princeton Record Exchange in New Jersey, in Princeton. So yeah, if you want good albums, you're gonna find them there. And it's Red by King Crimson. So I've done a whole podcast series with my buddy Andy, who co-does the channel. He hasn't done anything recently, but I'm sure he will. And we haven't done anything else, done anything together recently, which I'm sure we will do that as well. But anyway, we talked a lot about King Crimson. I love King Crimson. They're one of my favorite prog rock bands. I have Court of the Crimson King. I have Lizard, which is one of my favorites. I think it's underrated. And I also have Starless and Bible Black, and I have Discipline. Almost had a copy of Larks, and I could have got it, and then I ended up getting something else instead. I forget what it was. This was years and years ago. And I was a bigger fan of the other album I got, and I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what album it was. Regardless, I don't have that, but I do have Red, which is my favorite King Crimson album. The first time I heard this album, it was probably 15 or 20 years ago, close to that. It was just one of the darkest, grittiest, like, atmospheric albums I've ever heard. This is when Crimson were, I think, essentially a three-piece at this point. So you got Mr. Fripp here, Mr. Bruford. I love Bill Bruford, and the late, great John Wetton there. And I think who else plays on it? Oh, Ian McDonald and Mel Collins played on it. Okay. And David Cross. Okay. So there's some other playing on it. And I assume most of that stuff is off of Starless. So who plays on which one of them plays on Starless? Doesn't say on here. Anyway, Fripp, Wetton, and Bruford. This was right before King Crimson basically called it quits until the 80s. Robert Fripp went on, of course, to play with David Bowie, and he played with Peter Gabriel, did some stuff with Eno, did a whole bunch of session work type stuff for a while, and then he came back with Bill Bruford and did the Discipline album with Adrian Belew and Tony Levin, which is one of my other favorite King Crimson albums. But this is their best one, in my opinion. This is their heaviest one, their darkest one. Some amazing stuff. I think Starless is a contender for one of the greatest prog rock epics of all time, coming in at a measly 12 minutes. You know, it's over 10. I consider an epic if it's over 10, or 10 or over, rather. When I saw King Crimson live, this was probably like 2017, 2018. Man, when they played Starless live, I'm telling you, like, I've never had chills up my spine at a concert before. And that King Crimson gets the number one, they hands down the greatest musicians I've ever seen live. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah, Red, if you don't know Red and you like dark, great, you metal fans will love this. Any metal fan who somehow stumbled upon this video and is this far into it, this is your gateway to prog. You know, Listen to Red. It is heavy. It's as heavy as a Sabbath, as heavy as like a Judas Priest. It's darker than them. Like I think this is in as well. At least I think it you could hold this up to something like Sabbath, the first Sabbath album, or Sabotage or something. It's that dark. It's got a vibe, man. Love it. Love Red. A few more here. Seminal classic, Close to the Edge. This is probably I think I said this in my video. This is probably the greatest progressive rock album. I mean, it's Yes. Yes are kind of probably the greatest purely progressive rock band. I've always been a little hit or miss with Yes. I think they have a spotty discography. I think it's very big, and I don't think all of it's great. But the great stuff is really great. Recently, I've been listening to other Yes albums, like Going for the One, which I feel like I neglected a lot, and I think it's Going for the One is amazing. Some of the early, like the two earlier albums, Yes and Time and a Word. I've tried listening to Topographic Oceans. I'm not a big fan of Topographic Oceans. I don't hate it. It's just too. I don't really like double albums anyway, and it's kind of like really the worst type of double album. It's just too much. Like it should have just been a single album, in my opinion. So they have a spotty. Drama's amazing. 90125 is great. Some of the stuff later on, I think Fly From Here was really good. I saw them on, I think the tour before that when they had Benoit, whatever his name was. I thought he was good. I feel like he gets shit on a lot, but I saw him live and he did a great job. And I think that's probably one of their best albums in recent years, Fly From Here. And at least like Chris Squire was still on it and stuff. Anyway, but yes, Close to the Edge is a masterpiece. It is a stone cold masterpiece. This is one of the greatest albums ever made, in my opinion. It's perfect format. I mean, this from the beginning, this album sucks you in and doesn't let go until it takes you away, way out into the horizon, to Siberian Katru. I feel like when I listen to that song, it's like I'm floating away on an airship or something into the sun. I don't know. But anyway, And You and I, the track And You and I have a very special relationship with that song because of my wife. We both really love that song, and there's just an association there. It's a love story, you know. It's actually a very beautiful love song, a very like smart love song. I don't know. I really love it. But yeah, this is just a masterpiece. And of course, God, I have not done this yet. The amazing gatefold sleeve. You know, honestly the reason to own this on vinyl. The gatefold. It's beautiful. I love it. It's in great shape. I got this years ago. I can't even remember now. Probably in... Oh, I don't even remember. It's probably one of the first vinyl records I bought. $5.98 I paid for this thing. No joke, see? Where is it? There we go. Let it focus, camera. See? $5.90. Ridiculous, you know? Ridiculous. $5.98, yeah. I remember, actually, the first time I bought this was not on vinyl. I bought the CD. And I remember looking at the band, and I'm like, oh, they all look so cool. And I always thought, like, what's with this guy? And then I realized that's Eddie Alford. He's not even in the band. He's sort of their George Martin, but I was like, oh, this dude just like sitting there having a smoke. Anyway, really love this record. It's a masterpiece. Probably the greatest progressive rock album of all time. What we got next? This is a recent acquisition. I was thrilled to find this album. This I found last time I visited New Jersey. I don't live there anymore. I live in Canada, in Ontario. Thrilled to find this because I love this record. And it's Pawn Hearts by Vandergraaf Generator. Love this album. This has a great gatefold on the back. There it is. Right. And then it's got this cool kind of 60s looking, even though this was 70s. Very like weird sort of inside sleeve of the band. Very cool. It's a great record. Very dark. Probably a contender alongside this as the darkest prog rock album. Very and Robert Fripp happens to play on this album too, so there you go. But yeah, amazing shit. I love Vandergraaf Generator. I finally. It took me a while to get into Vandergraaf Generator. I've heard that about or I've heard that other people online say that like anybody who likes Vandergraaf Generator, it took some work. It does take a little work because they are very 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 they're very loud, very disjointed, very I don't know how you could possibly describe their sound. They're just so very dark, very keyboard heavy, but not in like a Keith Emerson or a like Yes kind of heavy. It's like it's just an aggressive. They were actually quite influential on this band actually, Iron Maiden. Bruce Dickinson in particular. He like I think Peter Hamill was like a really big influence on his vocal style, and you can kind of hear it really. Funny enough, this is gonna sound weird, but the first time I ever heard Peter Hamill's voice, I was like, kind of sounds like Billy Joel to me. So I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I'm the first person to ever say that, but I'm like, it kind of does sound like Billy Joel a little bit. I don't know what it was. I could be totally off base there, and that was my initial reaction. I don't really think that way anymore. Peter Hamill is like, kind of like, he's unclassifiable. He's such a he's a really great singer, but he's also just very, very, very different. But anyway, this is an amazing album. This has what I think is probably, I'm gonna boldly say, top 3 greatest prog rock epics in A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers. Is that what it's called? A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers. I know it's a weird. Doesn't even say it on here. Doesn't say it on here. It's probably on the vinyl. I have to look at the vinyl, people. A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers. Okay, I thought that's what it was called, but my brain's failing me. I wasn't sure if it was like The Plague of the Lighthouse Keepers. I was trying to be accurate here. But yeah, amazing stuff here. Lots of keyboards, lots of heavy like, yeah, Mellotron. Yeah, Hugh Banton, he's amazing. Plays tons of stuff. Hammond, ENC, Farfisa, which is what Richard Wright played. Piano, Mellotron, ARP synthesizer, bass pedals, bass guitar. He plays tons of Psychedelic Razor. Anybody know what that is? I don't know what Psychedelic Razor is. Guy Evans, drums, timpani, percussion, piano. Peter Hamill, lead vocals, acoustic and slide guitar, electric piano and piano. And then David Jackson, who does all the woodwinds. And Fripp, electric guitar. Sublime album. I love this album. It's really, really, it's very hard to describe. Very, very heavy, very dark, very kind of in your face. If this had heavy guitar all throughout, this would probably be a heavy metal album. A very weird heavy metal album, but a very, very, very heavy. Anyway, I love Vandergraaf Generator. Check out Pawn Hearts if you haven't heard it. 2 more. My next one is, I've had this one a long time actually, and I didn't jive with this album for a long, long time. It took me forever to get into it, but I bought this for $6.99. Can't believe I bought this for $6.99. No way, $6.99 I bought this for. And unbelievable. It's Octopus by Gentle Giant. So the unfortunate thing about this is, in America, you know, I bought this when I lived in the U.S. In the America and Canada, North America, we didn't get the really neato Roger Dean cover, which I'll put right here for you, all you people. We got this one, which isn't terrible. It's just like, the Roger Dean cover is so much better. I do kind of like how it's, they actually have all the lyrics on it, which is kind of cool. I do kind of like how if you take it out, it's like, it's cut. Like the jar is kind of cut out. That's a neat little detail. Of course, it's got the infamous like Gentle Giant guy here, right? One of the best prog albums ever made. This is my favorite Gentle Giant album, bar none. They are so unique. They're so like musically they are probably, they are right up there with, like, in terms of their technical prowess, but they don't. This is the thing with Gentle Giant. Like, yes, they do crazy shit. They do crazy time signatures. They put all these weird instruments in their music. They have all these weird sort of, like, some of it's like surrealistic kind of like lyrics from literature. They do a lot of the medieval thing, but they also, their later albums after this have kind of more, I'd say, like, philosophical or like more relatable lyrics, I would say. But this is an interesting, like, bag of everything. This is their first album with John Weathers, who was an amazing drummer. Really kind of changed their sound quite a bit. And it's also the last album to have Phil Shulman, who was one of the three Shulman brothers who formed Gentle Giant. And so this has, like, the classic, basically the five probably most important members of the band. It's the only album with all five of them on it, and it's unbelievable, the stuff on here. I mean, it is. I hated this. I'll be honest. I hated this album when I first heard it. I was like, I don't like this. I had the same reaction to it that I had the first time I heard Captain Beefheart. So again, though, I had to work at this. I had to work at Vandergraaf. Like, I really, really had to work at Vandergraaf. A lot of these prog albums, like these, I hate to use the term second tier because, it's only second tier in the sense of, like, they're not as famous or well known. They're well regarded by the fans in the same league, I would say, as these other bands. But Gentle Giant, it took me work, but they've become, like, one of the most rewarding bands. They're one of the prog bands I go back to more often because I just love their stuff, and they can confine they never did epics. They can confine their stuff, all their experimenting, all of their what am I trying to say here? Innovation into smaller songs. They still had good melodies. They had some amazing vocal harmonies. They just some of the really cool arrangements that they did were just so neat. And I think along with Ray Shulman, Kerry Manier, the keyboard player, was kind of their secret weapon. I think the two of them together, Ray Shulman, unfortunately, who passed away a couple years ago, and Kerry Manier, they just came up with these amazing just musical ideas, cool arrangements, all kinds of different. All these guys are virtuosos. So they're like, I mean, you look at any of these guys, like all these guys, next to their names, they just have a shitload of instruments that they play on the album. So Kerry Manier, all keyboards, vibraphone, percussion, cello, moog, lead and backing vocals. Ray Shulman, bass, violin, guitar, percussion, vocals. Gary Green, guitars, percussion. Derek Shulman, lead, vocals, alto, saxophone. Phil Shulman, saxophone, trumpet, mellophone, lead and backing vocals. John Weathers, drums, percussion, xylophone. They all play like a ton of instruments. It's crazy. Anyway, I could go on and on about Gentle Giant. They become one of my favorite bands. I love Octopus. This is their best album. So the last one is a prog band that I surprisingly haven't talked about yet since here, but they gotta be on the list. Come on. Hopefully you guys know what's coming. But it's, of course, Genesis with what is my favorite album, Foxtrot. It's close between this and Selling England by the Pound, but I think some of Selling England loses me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. The Battle of Epping Forest, a little of that, I start to get a little like, this is a masterpiece. Remember when I was saying about Vandergraaf Generator, how A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers is probably, top 3 best prog epics or whatever? Well, so is Supper's Ready. I mean, Supper's Ready might be number 1. I don't know. Supper's Ready is amazing. It's unbelievable. And I mean, of course, you have the classic lineup. Peter Gabriel, of course, is on here. Phil Collins, the great Steve Hackett, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford. Amazing classic Genesis lineup. You got everything from, of course, Supper's Ready. I love Horizons, that Steve Hackett piece right before Supper's Ready, which is sort of remnant of, I don't know which one came out first. These came out right around the same time. Somebody will correct me in the comments below. I don't know if Foxtrot or Close to the Edge came out first. I'm trying to get Close to the Edge out. I'll be honest, I don't know which came out. I know they both came out around 73, 72, something like that. I think this came out 73. This might have been like 72. I think they were both 73. My point is, I don't know who did it first, but I like how, like, Mood for a Day... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Fragile. See, I'm an idiot. Fragile... I think Fragile probably came out first. Fragile does the, like, Mood for a Day into Heart of the Sunrise. So that Steve Howe little guitar piece before the big epic. Whereas Steve Hackett does Horizons before Supper's Ready, which I think I like even better than that, you know? Yeah, it's an amazing album. Watcher of the Skies. Oh, what an opening track. Tony Banks, some of the shit he's doing on keyboards is unbelievable. Same with Steve Hackett. They have this great keyboard guitar thing they do. Peter Gabriel's vocals and lyrics are amazing. Phil Collins is drumming. Anybody who doesn't think Phil Collins is a good drummer, listen to this album. Listen to Selling Engel. Listen to Trick of the Tail. Listen to, like, the big one. Oh, my God. My brain's not functioning right now. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Listen to any of those classic albums. Nursery Crime. I got them all. On vinyl. This is their best one, though. I also really like the cover. I know people don't like it. I know the band themselves don't like the cover. I really like this cover. I think it's cool. The back's neat, too. Very, very cool. You know what you're getting when with this cover. You're like, okay, I'm in for some epic, kind of like weird, sort of whimsical, Englishy, zany prog. And that's exactly what's here. Done better than most other prog bands, being honest. I mean, as far as songwriting goes, Genesis, I think we're a step up above a lot of other bands. Now, that, yes, could write a song, you know, I think Gentle Giant could actually write a song, but as far as, like, melodies, I don't know, it makes sense to me that Genesis was able to evolve into a pop band, I think. And their pop stuff's great. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I love their poppy stuff. I don't love all of it. Some of it's pretty generic, but when Genesis is on with their pop songs, they're amazing. But this is the best Genesis. Come on. Foxtrot is amazing. I love this album. So there you go. Well, this was a really random video. I didn't expect to do a video, to be honest, on here, but I was just looking at that vinyl unboxing I did, and then I was like, oh, let me look at my vinyls. And instead of listening to one, which I probably should have done, I decided, why don't I make a video? Because it's fun to just look at my vinyls. I just got a whole box of stuff. And I was really excited about it. I got some really neat stuff. Like, man, I don't know. Let me pick a random... Here's the bonus content at the end of the video. I'm going to pick a random... It might not even be prog, okay? I'm going to not look. I'm going to pick a random vinyl from my shelf here, and I'm going to talk about it. So it may be prog. It may be something else. I don't know. It may be something I've never even listened to. I'm going to attempt to talk about it. So we'll see how it goes, okay? So here's the bonus content. We'll try that one. Come on out. Okay, it's a Lennon. It is the Plastic Ono Band. Mother, Hold On John, Working Class Hero. Yep. I don't know this album well, I'm not gonna lie. So, Plastic Ono Band, John Lennon. Don't know what to say about this album. It's not prog. It's John Lennon, okay? I don't know. I've heard this once or twice. It's been years since I've heard this, you know. Like my dad was I'm a big Beatles fan. My dad liked John Lennon a lot. George was his favorite, but I think John was his second favorite. I'm going to be honest, his solo stuff, I love his hits. I never dove super into his solo stuff. I don't like it as much. I think Paul's more solid. I'm not going to lie. as the years go by, I used to think kind of John was more where it's at. I'm a Paul guy now. I gotta be honest. Like, when I hear those Wings albums, or I hear, like, hearing his first album was great. This has got some good stuff on it. I'm not gonna badmouth the record. It's a really good, solid record. Well, well, well. Yeah. I don't know a lot of the deeper tracks on this. I obviously know Mother. I know Working Class Hero. I Found Out. I know I Found Out. Yeah, I got nothing really to say. It's a good record. Maybe I'll spin it sometime. A lot of these Beatles, I got a lot of Beatles stuff. I gave a lot to Andy, actually, coworker. Andy, my coworker on here. I gave a lot to Andy, and I'm sure he's enjoying them, but I don't listen to their. I'll be honest, I just don't listen to the Beatles solo stuff as much as, like, when I go back to the Beatles, I listen to the Beatles. So this is a good album. Maybe I'll give it a spin sometime because I happen to randomly pick it, but not much to say about it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's still a classic. Well, that's that, guys. What are your 10 favorite albums in your collection? I keep saying that. What are your first? Oh my God. What are your 10 favorite prog rock albums in your collection? How did I do? Did I do it right? There's bands that I've got stuff by that I have ELP. I thought about grabbing one of them, but I just didn't see him, and I saw the Uriah Heep, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't talked about Uriah Heep on here, and I love them very, very much. I got some Moody Blues, and I know they're kind of more borderline prog. I got some other stuff. I got some Zappa, but I really would have liked to have One Size Fits All, which I do not have a vinyl copy of. I got to rectify that. I could have talked about Overnight Sensation though, or something like that. What else? I got some Procol Harum. I've got Nectar. I've got off the top of my head. Oh my God! I saw a Tangerine Dream album. Phaedra. I've got a copy of that. I got lots of prog. I can't. I'm having a hard time thinking off the top of my head, but there's tons of stuff here. I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna get going. But yeah, what are your favorite 10 progressive rock albums? Do you own them on vinyl, or if you don't own vinyl and you're like a CD guy or something, tell me what the 10 best prog CDs you own are. I'd be interested to see that. And with that, I love you all. I love progressive rock. I love all this shit. And more. It's amazing. I've been in a big prog mood. There's something about the winter, man. Something about the winter. But thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. See you next time. Possibly with Andy. Who knows? We'll see. Or maybe you'll see Andy next. Anyway, peace, guys.